Hello, welcome to another week's episode of my 333 Cybersecurity Roundup. My name is Clinton Walker. And in this week's episode, I'll continue in the theme of covering 3 sets of breaches, 3 sets of countermeasures, and 3 sets of takeaways for your leadership team and your stakeholders. I'll start off with ADT. ADT is a huge security monitoring company and solutions company based out in America, in Florida. And they've disclosed that they've been breached via a phishing attack. And the hacking group ShinyHunters pretended or posed to be an IT support employee and tricked that employee into giving them unauthorized access and credentials for their internal systems. Now, the weakness here, as you can see, is via social engineering, and they've used a method that's called vishing. Vishing is over by the phone, similar to phishing, but it's done by phone. And they basically convinced that employee to pass over credentials as well. And it is said that they've stolen credentials from an instance of Salesforce as well to complement that attack in terms of gaining enough information to share with that person for them to believe that they are indeed the legitimate user. Now, this disclosed a lot of information, 5.5 to 10 million records, which included date of birth, social security number, tax IDs, address, telephone numbers of employees, as well as customers. The scale here is huge, and the impact for these individuals here could be identity theft, impersonation, and also reputational damage for the company. So what are some of the controls that could be put in place or strengthened here? They could have enforced phishing-resistant MFA, and they could enforce strict admin access and make sure that they recertify privileges, especially when they were notified that Salesforce was breached and they were a client of Salesforce. So anytime there's a breach, it's important to do your due diligence internally and make sure that your systems are up to date as well. Now, monitor bulk exports and unusual activities on the accounts or on systems across your business. Make sure that you have a tight and rigid third-party due diligence process in place and review them regularly or continuously, because doing regular reviews maybe every 6 months or every year is just a snapshot in time. But if you have a system in place that can continuously review their attack surface on the dark web on a regular basis, it gives you insight as to how weak their systems are and how that could impact you as well. That's breach number 1. Breach number 2 is another well-known brand. It's Udemy, which is a global e-learning platform. They've been recently bought out by Coursera, and they've also disclosed that they've been a victim of the hacking group ShinyHunter, which also tried to extort them for money. And they came up with this campaign of pay or we leak. And it turned out that they didn't pay the ransom, or some fallout happened along the negotiation path there, and they've decided to disclose those information on the dark web. And it is said that they use a combination of tactics as well here to gain access to be able to exfiltrate that data. They use vishing, as I mentioned before. They also use the tool InfoStealer to steal credentials, and they've also bypassed multi-factor authentication to gain initial access. Information involved here, the data involved here is over 1.4 million records. And what's the impact then for the company and for users? For users, they're susceptible to phishing attack because the attacker would have had their email addresses. They're also susceptible to vishing because they have their phone number. And they're also exposed to impersonation, where the attacker could pose as them to log into other systems and legitimately gain access, even though it's not the real user. Countermeasures for this particular one as well is harden your identity control. So access control, privileged access management, multi-factor authentication. Make sure that those are default and all customer-facing or internet-facing systems. Review all connected apps and APIs to make sure that their tokens are up to date or refresh them on a regular basis. And add what's called exfiltration monitoring tools. So that could be data loss prevention tool that monitors the movement of data, monitor user activities around the data as well. Make sure that you updates and practice or do run through with your run book for disaster recovery and resilience and incident response, because that will help you to quickly restore any systems and manage incident if it were to happen to you. That's breach number 2. Breach number 3 is Vimeo. Vimeo, again, is a global platform similar to YouTube, and it is also said that this was impacted by another hacking group, which they gain unauthorized access to their systems, and it was a case whereby the stealing of authentication token took place in Salesforce and in other breach, in another breach and a company that was breached, which also affected Rockstar Games, Vimeo, and Snowflake. And some of you remember Snowflake's been breached a few times, and some of those credentials also was used to do follow-on attacks as well. The data involved here is customer data, technical data. Vimeo is downplaying the severity and the magnitude of this breach, but even though it's metadata and technical data, email addresses, it's still a huge impact. It is a data breach, and this could also be used to launch other attack on their customers. And who knows, they may have planted other hidden accounts within their systems, and you could hear that there's another breach on their systems or other partners that use Vimeo platform as well. What are some of the countermeasures here? Reassess your vendors and the permissions that they have to your systems, and make sure that those access that they've got is still valid. And if you need to increase the security levels and controls, do that, because it's protecting both parties. Remove unnecessary integrations that you're not using. Make sure that any ports that are open are closed if they're not being used, and if they are, put monitoring on those to make sure that you're aware of all the traffic and communication that's passing through those ports as well. Rotate expose keys and secrets that are exposed over the internet, and put monitoring on those as well to ensure that you're in the know as to what's happening and who's interacting and communicating via those exposed tokens as well. Again, third-party risk management and due diligence is paramount, and that's another control that could be implemented here as well. That's breach number 3. So what are some of the takeaways for your stakeholders and the business owners across your business? The theme here is around identity and access management, and making sure that MFA, multi-factor authentication, and other controls that grants users access to the systems are tightly managed and monitored. Third-party due diligence must not be done on a one-off basis. It's a continuous approach to cybersecurity, and making sure that those due diligence controls are in place. And make sure that you're constantly looking at your playbook, your disaster recovery, your incident response as well. Playbook needs to be up to date and active to be fit for purpose. That's it for my update for this week. Have a great weekend. Please remember to follow us on LinkedIn. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and visit our website for more information on all things cybersecurity. Thank you, and see you again soon. Bye.